Is Xyris a good commander or not? Let's find out today. My name's Izzy, this is Rolling Virtual Cards, and this is a commander review and a deck profile for Xyris the Writhing Storms. Xyris the Writhing Storms is a 2, a green, a blue, and a red for a 3/5 legendary creature, Snake Leviathan, which means it's a big boy. Not necessarily magic-wise, a 3/5's kind of small, but if you looked at him there, he's pretty big. A lot of snakes are falling off him. You get the following effects: flying, and whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first one they draw in each of their draw step, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. When Xyris the Writhing Storm deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. Let's break down the points here, okay? First off, it's Samir. It's 3 colors. You're getting 3 out of 5 there. The more colors a commander has, the more cards can be in a deck, the better cards can be in a deck, and the better your deck's going to be. It's an undeniable truth that when most people are ranking commanders, for the most part, the more colors, the better the deck can possibly be. There are a few exceptions to the rule where monocolored commanders do something so insanely good that, or 2-color commanders do stuff that's so insanely good that it breaks that rule. But for the most part, the more colors, the better. It gives you an advantage. Next is its mana value. It's got 5 total mana with 3 different colored pips. That's going to give it a 1 out of 5. So 5 mana is very hard to cast in the first place. It takes a lot of ramp to get out of it, to get it out there. So your hand, instead of being card advantage engines, has to be ramp so that you can get to your commander on time. And then on top of that, you have this very annoying part of 3 different colored pips on the commander. Why that's annoying is because you can't just rely on colorless to cast this. It's not like it's 3 colorless or 3 generic and then 2 colors, or 4 generic and 1 color, right? And it's not like you can just get all green here. You need to make sure you have the colors. Kitty cat break. This is my cat. Her name is Cat. I'm gonna sit here. That's gonna give it that 1 out of 5. It loses a point for having to have 3 different colors. The next part here is you're going to see that protection, interaction, and mana advantage are all at 0 out of 5. And that's simple. It's not protecting itself in any way. It has no interaction with your opponents in a controlling fashion. And it has no mana advantage. You're not going to actually gain extra value in the form of lands or mana. It does, however, have card advantage. Whenever card advantage is the best type of card advantage. This is whenever something happens, you get to draw cards. The reason why that's better than any other form of card advantage is because it triggers so much more often than other card advantages. Including just like draw a card, win this creature, it's better, right? That's once a turn if you can flicker it. But whenever means whenever something happens. That's whenever this guy deals damage. Each player draws that many cards, or you and that player each draw that many cards. So each and every turn, you're going to be able to swing with Xyris with no other effects and just draw cards. It loses a point for helping your opponent out. They are going to draw cards too. This is a downside. Upside, he does create tokens. Now, token generation is the lowest form of card creation. It is still technically card advantage. It's card advantage because it's pushing you up 1 extra card. Yeah, sure, the card's a 1/1 green snake creature token with no ability, right? That doesn't matter when what you're getting is another card on the field. If everyone has 5 cards in the field and Xyris hits, and you and that opponent both draw 3 cards, and then you also get to make 3 tokens, you win up 6 cards, they win up 3 cards, the other 2 are behind them. Xyris is really good at targeting in Commander also, in just a nice general sense, the person losing the game. If you aren't the lowest totem pole, with Xyris, normally you're like, I feel bad for hitting the low. No, hit the lowest guy. the guy that feels like they're out of the game. And they get back in the game. They go, yeah, okay, I'll draw 3 cards, and then you get 3 extra snakes, and you can have a little fun. And they're like, yeah, I owe you, dude. I mean, I took 3 damage. That's not too bad. You don't want to buff Xyris to the point where people don't want to get hit by him. You want to just keep him at this nice little 3 so that people are like, I can take 3 damage. You know, you had to hit me 7 times for me to lose with to Xyris Commander, right? You're not doing that. You just want to get some snakes. We both want to draw some cards. Let's have fun. So overall, it's going to get 5 out of 5 for card advantage. That being said, it also gets 3 out of 3 for or 5 out of 5 for the 33 card engine. That's what this entire format is about. It's talking about that meat and potatoes in the deck, and we'll get to that in a second. I wouldn't be making a video if I couldn't create an engine. And lastly, it's got a card combo. 4 out of 5. I don't have that combo here. Feel free to look it up if you need to. But it is a draw everyone out card combo. It's 2 cards because it's Xyris plus 2 cards, and since you always have access to Xyris, that's simple. Giving it 4 out of 5 for card combo, giving it a total of 18 points here. So that's fantastic. On top of all of this, I would actually like to thank Amy Easler. I think it's at Amy Easler 2086. They're the one who suggested Xyris. So if you have a specific commander you would like to see ranked and see a deck profile for, go ahead and leave a comment. I will make whatever deck someone suggests because it's fun. So again, thank you for suggesting Xyris. Don't know if I'd ever have built him if it wasn't for you, because he wasn't on my radar to build. So let's get on to 33, the meat and potatoes. The reason I build commander decks is this. There's for people, seeing as this is only my second video doing this version, people who don't know, the 33 is simple. Okay, there's 33 lands in most decks, give or take. Once you test stuff, there's around 33 good cards. These are interactive, card draw, mana advantage, stuff like that, that are just like, you need these cards in your deck for it to function. Those vary based on what you need in the deck. But this 33 is the very essence and engine of the deck. The cards that make you go, this is why I ran Xyris. I wanted to run Xyris because I got to run these types of cards and they synergize, and I like that kind of. So with that, let's get right into the theming, which is let us all draw. We're all gonna draw some cards here. We're all gonna have some fun. No one's gonna be mean to me. Why would anyone be mean to me? I gave you cards, so don't be mean to me. And the first 8 cards here are Fairy Mastermind. This is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 creature fairy rogue with flying, with flash and flying. And whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. And then for 3 in a blue, each player draws a card. Now this does a lot of stuff for your deck. First off, it's going to allow you to draw cards whenever an opponent draws their second card. So what this does is if you wheel, right, everyone's going to discard or shuffle their hand back into their library and draw 7. And since your opponents each drew 7 cards, you will then draw 3 extra cards. On top of that, if you don't have anything else to do with your mana, dumping mana into Fairy Mastermind to make everyone draw a card, and then you also get 3 snakes is really good. Very helpful in that regard. You get a lot of, it gives you something to do with your mana every turn. Jace's Archivist is 1 and 2 blue for a 2/2 creature Vidalcan Wizard. 1 blue, you can tap it, and each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. This is really good in a lot of ways. Jace's Archivist is saying, hey, every single turn we're going to just ditch our hand, and hey, you have 6 cards in hand, let's all draw 6 cards, and I'm gonna make 18 snakes. Magus of the Wheel is doing the similar thing. So it's 7 in a, or sorry, 7. It's 2 in a red for a 3/3 human wizard. With 1 in a red, you can tap it and sacrifice it, and each player discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. This is similar, but not the same. Being able to force the 7 is good, because sometimes it's the most cards in someone's hand is 4. That's not great, but Magus says, I don't care how many cards, we're all drawing 7, I am going to make 20. Struggle for Project Purity is 3 in a blue for an enchantment. As Struggle enters the battlefield, you choose Brotherhood or Enclave. For Brotherhood, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card, and you draw a card for each card drawn this way. And for Enclave, whenever a player attacks you with 1 or more creatures, that player gets twice that many red cards. We're not caring about the Enclave, we're caring about Brotherhood here, okay? Brotherhood is going to allow them to all draw 1 card, force them to draw 1 card. That's going to draw you 3 cards and 3 snakes. So that's 6 card ups on them. Not bad. Wheel of Fate is a sorcery with suspend 4 for 1 in a red, and then each player discards his or her hand and then draws 7 cards. So this is Wheel of Fortune, or like Magus of the Wheel, those cards, but with the suspend. So you can play this turn 2, and then hopefully you get your commander out before it goes off, and boom, everyone has to draw 7 cards, and you make 21 snakes. Burning Inquiry is 1 red for a sorcery. This is one of my favorite Magic cards of all times because it's so fun to disrupt people on turn 1. Everyone's like, I got this great hand, and you're like, Burning Inquiry, and everyone's like, and each player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards at random. You don't get to choose what you discard. That's problematic for a lot of people, but you don't care. You just, if Xyris is out, you just made 9 snakes. Winds of Change is 1 red for a sorcery. Each player shuffles the cards from their hand into their library, then draws that many cards. Okay, a simple, nice wheel. Not the best wheel, but for 1 red, you can't complain. Days Undoing is 2 in a blue for a sorcery. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. If it's your turn, end the turn. Exile all spells. Yeah, so this just ends the turn automatically. Perfectly fine. You're doing this to get you a lot of snakes. Okay, so you do this, everyone is again going to draw 7, you're going to get 21 snakes, and the turn's going to end and you pass them. You don't care if the turn ends. That's not the problem here, okay? The problem here is shuffling everything back. You might wonder, well, is that good? And the answer is yes. Being able to get back to your Magus, your wheel, your Burning Inquiry, getting your Winds of Changes again. Your win con here isn't milling people out or drawing them out for the most part. It's winning with too many snakes. That's what you're hoping. Next up is some more wheels here. We're still all drawing some fun cards. Now you're going to see some expensive cards here coming up. Time Twisters, 2 in a blue for a sorcery. Each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyards into the library, then draw 7 cards. This is 2 in a blue. And kitty cat. And Wheel of Fortune is 2 in a red for a sorcery, and all players must discard their hand and draw 7 cards. And the other expensive one here is Time Spiral, where it's 4 and 2 blue for a sorcery, and you remove it from the game, and each player shuffles his or her hand and his or her library, or hand into his or her library. Then draw 7 cards. You untap up to 6 left. So it's free for the most part. Now, you might wonder, I can't afford these cards. How am I going to play them? Proxy. Enough said. Windfall is 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Each player discards his or her hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded away. Simple enough. Being able to just make sure that, again, everyone's going to draw some good cards. Windfall can also do a lot, and this is the cool thing with also like Jace's Archivist, where if someone happens to have like 10 cards in hand, everyone's going to be drawing 10, and that's going to get you like 30 snakes. Reforge the Soul is 3 and 2 red for a sorcery, and each player discards his or her hand and draws 7 cards. But you can miracle this one for 1 in a red. So if it's the first card you drew on your turn, you can just cast it for its miracle cost. Time Reversal is 3 and 2 blue for a sorcery, and each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into her library, then draws 7 cards. exile, time reversal. Again, a very simple way to just kind of keep the game going, keep getting you more lands, or more snakes. Echo of Eons is 4 and 2 blue for a sorcery, and each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards, and you can flash it back for 2 and 8 blue, giving you more chances to cast this card. And then Commit to Memory is 3 and a blue for an instant, and you get to put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's hand, second from the top. And then Memory is 4 and 2 blue for a sorcery with Aftermath, so you cast it from your graveyard and then exile it. And each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library and then draws 7. Speaking on the proxy thing, I understand some people out there are going to state, I don't have the ability to print stuff. And that's fair. Just write the card on a basic land or on the back of a basic land with a permanent marker, okay? No one's going to get upset for you to facing a basic land. I mean, if you're really worried, double check that it's not an expensive land. There are like 5 of them out there. On top of that, what you can do is, if you're like, well, I don't know what it's going to do, I'm bad at memorizing cards, then if you have a phone, most people have a cell phone, download the card. Like, take a picture of it, or download a copy of the card from Scryfall, and have it on your phone in a folder in your gallery, so that way when someone goes, what does it do, you can just pull up Time Twister and go, yeah, if this is my deck, I'm proxying Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune, and Time Spiral, because they're expensive and I'm not paying for them, right? And you can just go, here you go. That's what they do. The other choice, which is I've done, is I've just written on a piece of paper and put that little piece of paper inside the sleeve. They're thin enough to not cause problems, casually at least, and then you can tell people what it does that way. Okay? There's a lot of ways you can make proxies that do not involve printing. If your group is against proxies, I can't help you there, okay? Find a new group at that point. Proxies are fine, guys. Proxies are fine after you design the deck and you're designing the deck in a bracket that is appropriate for your people, for your group. That is what I mean, okay? Don't proxy the most expensive cards attempting to make your deck broken unless you're playing CD. There's a balance. Design the deck and go, oh, I can't afford this $400 deck and I really want Time Spiral in the deck. Time Spiral is not breaking any games. It's not a card that's going to go, oh, what? Don't proxy a game changer into your deck unless it's a game changer that's expensive and you're playing in a bracket that wants game changers, okay? If you want more information on that, I'll make a proxy video and give my points. I'll do that for my podcast this week. I've done that for my podcast this week then. If you're watching this, because I'm recording this prior to recording my podcast. And I needed an idea for the podcast. I'm going to just do a podcast on proxying. Cool. But yeah, lots of wheels here. The theming at this point was getting everyone to draw cards. The more cards they can draw, which wheeling is the best. And here's the thing about wheeling. Unlike hugs that are just going to give them cards, wheels have a downside. They say, hey, we're going to get rid of your hand, you're going to draw new cards. This could unbrick someone, it could brick someone. There's a lot of something's happening, you're not just giving them more cards. Next up, next theme is Xyris, Fun. This is blue, but you know what I'm doing. I'm making clones of Xyris. More clones of Xyris triggers his first ability, because Xyris' first ability doesn't require him to hit someone. It just looks to see if your opponent drew a card that wasn't the first card they drew during their draw step, right? So, Shakashima, a thousand faces, is 3 and a blue for a 3/1 human rogue that when it enters the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it's Shakashima, the 1,000 faces. Other abilities. The legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, and his partner. It's going to come in as another Xyris. And so whenever the person draws a card, you're going to get 2 snakes. Takashima Imposter is the same thing. 2 and 2 blue for a 3/1 human rogue. It comes into play. You may choose a creature player in play. If you do, Shakashima becomes a copy of that creature, except its name is still Shakashima the Imposter. It's still legendary, and it gains for 2 and 2 blue. You can return it to your hand. You can return Shock Steam with the Imposter to its owner's hand at end of turn. So, good way to just put it back in your hand instead of to avoid a board wipe if you want. But this is, again, just going to make another copy of Xyris to give you more snakes. Spark Double is the same thing. 2 in blue for a 0/0 illusion. You may have Spark Double into the battlefield as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it. If it's a creature, it enters with an additional loyalty counter if it's a planeswalker, and if it isn't legendary, if that permanent is legendary. Very simple way to just go, hey, more Xyris, more snakes, more fun. And if you choose to hit someone with the creature, cool. That's more draws, more snakes, more funds. Sean, Father of Synths is very fun. This is 3 a blue and a red for a 3/4 human scientist. Whenever you attack, you may create a tapped and attacking token. That's a copy of target attacking legendary creature you control other than Sean. Except it's not a legendary. It is a synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. And when Sean leaves the battlefield, you exile all synth tokens you control. What does that mean? It means you're going to make more Xyrises every single turn. And since it's on attack, and the Xyris is tapped and attacking, you're going to create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of target attacking legendary. So you get a second Xyris that'll trigger more snakes and hit someone for 3 to give you more snakes. John's fantastic in this. Roaming Throne is doing similar things with the clones, which is why it's here, right? More triggers. Roaming Throne's 4 generic for a 4/4 golem with ward 2, and when it enters, you choose a creature type, and Roaming Throne is the chosen type in addition to its other types. If a triggered ability of another creature you control of the chosen type is triggered, the triggered an additional time. This is both the damage trigger on Xyris and the token trigger. So if Xyris hits someone for 3 damage and Roaming Throne's on the field, and you named snakes, right? Or Leviathans, but most of the part, name snakes. You have a few snakes in this deck. What that'll do is that'll have them get hit for 3 damage, and then double draws what happens. So you will both draw 3 cards, and then you will create 3 snakes, but that is a triggered ability, so you'll create 6 snakes, and then you both draw 3 cards, and then you create 6 more snakes. So in total, you both draw 6 cards, but you, my friend, get to make a total of 12 snakes. Which is gross. And that's not including if you have like another like Spark Double on the field to where you're like, cool, that's also a snake. And since that's also a snake, guess I'm gonna also get another 6. If you're drawing 6 yet, that's another 12. Yeah. Nonagen conversion is 3 in a blue for a sorcery. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. What this does is this says, hey, you know those 50 snakes I have on the field? They're all Xyris. Then you swing, and they all trigger Xyris's effect. You and me, I dealt 3 damage to you. See all these guys? These guys all like me. They're all saying, hey, why not draw some extra cards, right? So if you had like 10 snakes on the field when you do this and they all become Xyrises, you dealt 3 damage, Xyris will trigger plus the other 10 snakes, and that'll be 33 cards you both draw, plus 33 new snakes, not including if you have any additional copies of Xyris or Roaming Throne. Really gross card. Next up is Helm of the Host. This is 4 generic for legendary artifact equipment, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of a creature, except that token isn't legendary. The token gains haste, equip 5. So that the tokens of Xyris with this one can attack right away. That's more draws, more snakes, more triggers. Every turn you get another one. Next up is Double Major, which is a blue or green and a blue for an instant copy target creature spell you control, except it isn't legendary. It just except it isn't legendary if the spell is legendary. So yeah, that's a very simple way to just be able to create another copy of Xyris that is cheap and not very expensive. being 2 is the cheapest way to make it down here. So that isn't legendary. That's the key thing, not legendary. You don't want to make legendary clones because they'll just die and you won't get the triggers. So that's kind of annoying. Next up is payoffs. So the payoffs are here. We've got Adrax, the Nev Twincaster. This is 2 in a green and a blue for a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard with Ward 2. And if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. So if you were to make the same thing, it's Parallel Lives and Double Seasons they're all 3 doing the same thing. Parallel Lives make twice the amount of tokens, and same thing with Doubling Season. It also, Doubling Season does 1/1 counters, but all 3 are going to double the tokens you make. What that means is if you were going to make if you hit someone with Xyris and you were going to make 3 tokens off of it, you would make 6 tokens. Okay. If you have 2 Xyris triggers and you were going to make 6 tokens, or 3 off one and 3 off the other, you'd make 6 and 6, making 12 total tokens. Okay. Double tokens. This is payoffs for Xyris's things. This is just more and more tokens, and you're going to win by flooding people with these tokens. That is your win con. Okay. Some options that help you win. Payoffs again. Scrawling Crawler is 3 generic for a 3/2 Phyrexian construct, and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. So you're going to draw a card, they're going to each draw 3 cards. That's going to be 3 snakes there, minimum. And whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses 1 life. Scrawling Crawler does this nice little thing where it can help you win in case you can't get in, right? Oh, I can't get in. Here's my Scrawling Crawler. You have ways to get it back into your deck with wheels. But if you're making people draw 6 cards or 7 cards, that's 7 damage. And if they've got big walls up and you can't swing in very well, this at least gives you another way to win. That's the same thing with Witty Roastmaster and Perforos, God of the Forest. Witty Roastmaster is 2 in red for a 3/2 creature, devil, citizen with Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And Perforos is the same thing. It's 3 in a red for a 6/5 God, indestructible as long as your devotion to red is less than 5, which it will be. I don't think I run enough red in this deck, permanent wise. But whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to that opponent. And for 2 in a red, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. Both of those last 2 effects are what you do. Being an indestructible enchantment also just makes Perforos really hard to interact with once it's on the field. But being able to deal 2 damage for every snake you make, I mean, you can make 20 snakes and you win the game. That's not hard to do here, okay? On top of that, if you're not getting there, if you have 6 mana, all of a sudden you just go, cool, now my snakes are all 3/1s. Let's swing in for game. Sashiro the Anointed is 4 and 2 green for a 3/4 snake monk. Other snakes you control get +2/+2. That's great. That's going to make your 1/1 snakes into 3/3s, and it's going to make Xyris from a 3/5 into a 5/7. More draw. Whenever a snake you control does combat damage display, you may draw a card. So this gives you more draw if you need it. All your little snakes can become draw magnets. And then Cassetto Orochi Archmage. I love this guy. He's one of my favorite legendaries ever. He's such a simple Voltron to build because it's just ramp. I'll do a deck on him at some point. I really love that command. 1, a green and a blue for a 2/2 Snake Wizard. For a green and a blue, target creature can't be blocked. If that creature is a snake, it gets +2/+2 to end the turn. This is a great way to just spam +2 to just, or it's 2 mana to just buff your commander to the point that, like, it's 3. So if you can get 18 on it, which is 9 triggers of this, which is 18 mana, if you can get 18 mana and just go, hey, my Xyris knocks you out. That's fun. That's a fun time. I enjoy that. Especially if you hit them once. Every time you hit them, that's 1 less trigger you have to do, right? I think. If you did 16, and you'd already did 3, that's 19. Yeah. Yep. So, very fun way to just buff your commander and just get some more draw out of it, which is more snakes. So, every card in this circle, almost every card, I think, like, 2 of them, and that's Witty and Perforos, do not actually draw you cards. The rest are making snakes in some way, and I love it. But that all being said, let's get the golden potato. That one card that made you want to build the deck. The card that you said, oh, Xyris? Oh, it triggers off draw? Okay. Teferi's Puzzle Box. There are other cards, like Jace's Archivist is probably up there too. But Teferi's Puzzle Box is amazing, guys. For 4 generic, you get an artifact, and at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player puts the cards in his or her hand on the bottom of his or her library in any order. Then draws that many cards. That player draws his or her card for the turn first. Okay, so they draw for turn, and then they go, cool, I have 7 cards. Bottom, draw 7 snakes. Absolutely fantastic. Everything about Teferi's Puzzle Box is just screaming, I'm going to make a lot of snakes. And it doesn't help your opponents, and it's not once per turn. It's once on each your opponent's turn, and it's defined by how many cards they have. So if they happen to be drawing more cards and have a lot of cards in hand all of a sudden, you're going to get more out of it. It's going to screw them up because they're going to be like, I'm going to do this thing, and then they can't because their whole plan goes down the drain, okay? It's such a good card in this deck. It's honestly an amazing card, and I love it so much, specifically in this deck, as a push to just... It's also 4 generic, so it's so easy to get out. There's no hard feelings to get it out. You get it out, and you're just like, okay, I'm just going to be making snakes, guys. And you're not drawing them extra cards. They're just getting rid of their hand and getting a new hand. Whereas a wheel could find them better cards. I guess Teferi's Puzzle Box could also, but wheels are like one-offs. This is multiple times. And that's why it's the... That all being said, let's move on to deck build. I told you guys to give you a deck build more than just the 33, and I will show you. Here is the deck that I built. The 33 is in here, plus the rest of the cards. Go ahead and take a look. You will get it in the description down below. You can click a link to the Moxfield deck. You can copy it, change it up. If you're like, I don't like proxying and I want to be able to afford the cards, go ahead and change those out to whatever you want. The lands is a very basic lands package. I don't like spending money on lands if I can avoid it. But yeah, there's the deck. Feel free to pause and take a gander, or again, click on the link down below. And next up is let's get ranked. Where does it land? Okay, this is something I was doing with my ranking video, and I had to bring it back to just keep the streak going, keep the list going. And here you go, guys. It lands nicely at that 18 pointer next to Joda, the Unifier, and Kali of the Vast. And I think all 3 have their ups and downs, right? Xyris having an infinite combo is great, but Kalia has a 2-card infinite combo as well. Well, it's not infinite, but it's a 2-card removal combo that removes someone from the game, which is useful. Joda has a combo as well, so you're looking at this like thing where these are all like, okay, Joda the Unifier is also 5 color, so does it lose stuff? Why is it 18? It does lose a few things. It's got some draw and some mana cheat in it, but it's missing some of the... It's expensive. It loses a lot of its things in the fact that, like, it doesn't have a lot to get. But Xyris is sitting there nice and comfortably tied at 6th place out of the 12 spots so far. The lowest thing I've ever ranked is 11, and the highest is a 25. Okay, and the 2 CDH decks are 23, so go figure. Sometimes CDH decks don't get the highest. But if you noticed, it's a great little project I'm working on, I guess. That all being said, do you like Shadow the Xyris? Man. Okay, yeah, do you like Shadow the Xyris? You guys guess what my next commander is going to be? Leave a comment and subscribe. Peace.